Hi, welcome back. Guess what? It is officially Jupiter in retrograde in the sign of Gemini. So let's get into it. Hi, I'm Camila Rose and welcome to another video. I am so excited to have you here with me. Today we're going to be talking about Jupiter in the sign of Gemini going retrograde. When Jupiter's moving through a sign, what we're going to see is whatever the characteristics of that sign, those things are going to be amplified, and whatever your relationship is to those characteristics will also be amplified. So say you have, well, we'll talk about Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter and Gemini has been expanding our understanding of our communication. Some of the places where we've had difficulty in understanding or being able to explain our ideas, our difficulties in being able to gather information and interpret that information. One of the things you're probably hearing about a lot now is misinformation, people not telling the truth, people not being interested in hearing the truth, people being fine with having their narratives go whichever way works best for them. That's a part of Jupiter and Gemini. And one of the things we're also seeing with that as we go into retrograde is we're going to be seeing that it's time to kind of review and figure out, why have we been all right with this spreading? Why have we been okay with this expanding? What does this say about our morals, about our systems of faith, our systems of reliability? And really, what does this say about our philosophy as humanity when we are okay with misinformation spreading so quickly and being used as a form of building connection? But we're also going to see an improvement, because you're going to also see all the really great things about Jupiter in Gemini expanding as well. So our need to connect, our desires to gather information and to learn and to grow. There's been so much information being shared about personal development, and that is definitely a part of Jupiter and Gemini. Now, the personal development, the habits and the systems and all of that fun stuff, that's more of like a Virgo thing. But the sharing of the information about those systems, definitely Gemini, because Gemini loves to learn. My best friend is a Gemini, and when I tell you, she is constantly telling me about all the new things she's learned about, or all the new ways that you can do this or you can do that, you can exercise this, you can watch this show. She always has all of this information, and that is the way that Geminis operate. And with Jupiter and Gemini, we're getting so much more of that information, which for some people can feel like an information overload. So it might be helpful for you during this time to really figure out how to discern between where you want to focus your attention. We are really operating in an attention economy now. And because of that, the thing that catches our eye the most, the thing that we pay the most attention to, is what's going to be the thing that is shared more, that is given more attention. And honestly, what we're finding is that often what catches our attention is given more validity. It's given more time and energy as if it is true or as if it is real. And that is one of the issues that we've been encountering, that Jupiter has really been highlighting through its time in Gemini, is that we can't just rely upon the thing that is the loudest, that catches our attention and can hold it the longest, being the thing that is actually the most true or the most reliable. We have to really hone our sense of discernment and our ability to be able to shift through the messages and the information, because there's just so much available to us now that just didn't operate in the same way that it did before. One of the things I think we're really also seeing highlighted is the impact of the media and the spread of media. Because it's not just now you turn on the news in the afternoon or you watch it in the morning, perhaps you listen to it in the car. Now you can listen to the news whenever you like to. And it's not just individuals who are perhaps trained in media or journalism who are sharing information and being able to present themselves as experts in a particular field. We're finding that that can be anyone who has the ability to have a phone and have an internet connection. So our ability to be able to discern between where we're getting our information, who we should use as valid sources, what is reliable information, is really being highlighted. And we're going to need to be spending some time reviewing and getting really clear on our sources, and then how we feel about those things, because Jupiter does operate in that feeling zone quite a bit. One, because it is that our belief system, and our belief systems are based on our values. They are connected to our values. They're connected to our morals. And when we build up a sense of belief, but we also build up a sense of faith, and sometimes those things don't always necessarily have to match up. That can cause some of that cognitive dissonance. So we're back into the realm of Gemini, because Gemini is all about the mind. It's all about how we share and gather information. And when some of those things, our sources, are not adding up and we're experiencing that cognitive dissonance, it can throw us off and make us feel very ungrounded. And that is definitely something that happens anytime any of the signs or the planets are experiencing a retrograde. One of the things I think is going to be most important during this time is just slowing down. Slowing down, taking your time, being very mindful. That is why I have my 30-day mindfulness journal challenge. It is for free. It is available on my website, and it's just 30 days of prompts so that you can examine your habits when it comes to journaling, so that you can examine your understanding of what your thoughts are, really get clear about your thoughts, your feelings, how it feels in your body, the systems and routines that support you being able to have time to journal and practice self-care in other forms. And it's really a practice and really allowing ourselves to create that time, create that space, and build up these habits and skills, because I see journaling as a skill, something that you have to learn to do so that you can be successful in that endeavor. But habits can be difficult for us to maintain. But when we think about a skill and we think about how do we build our skills, it's kind of the same thing as a habit, but sometimes we can have a different lens. And I think if we apply this, I'm learning the skill of journaling as opposed to building up the habit of journaling, that can alleviate triggers or any activations that are connected to this idea of having to change up your habits, because it's a skill and you learn skills and it takes time. So we're learning the skill of journaling. That time and that energy and that space to get very clear on your thoughts, to begin to decipher between what is a reliable source and what isn't. How do you really feel about the things that are happening around you? It's going to be vital during this time, so that when Jupiter goes direct in 2025, what we'll see is, it's February 2025, what we'll see is that you'll have this clarity around, have I been making the right choices? Have I been aligning myself with the correct information sources? Have I been sharing information in a way that I feel proud of, that I feel self-assured about, that when I'm marching forward and Jupiter is going to be entering into Cancer, and like I've mentioned, there's a lot that's going to be going on in Cancer in 2025. And so we're going to move from that Gemini energy to Cancer energy, from a focus on the mind and gathering information and sharing information, to the environment and the people around us and our family and our connections and our sense of groundedness, the archetype of the mother. Who is your main source? Who do you trust the most? Who do you rely upon the most? Who do you go to gather that information? And how do you share that with them? And I bet one of those people is going to be your caregivers, or the people that you look up to, the people that you assign this role of caregiver and nurturer, that maybe are not wanting to have that assignment of that projection, but some do invite for that energy of looking up to them as a reliable source that you can depend upon. We're really going to be examining kind of the shift between those things as Jupiter goes from Gemini over to Cancer. Get that clarity. Allow yourself that time. Allow yourself that energy to explore and expand and find new ways of learning things, but also to be discerning and to be able to figure out what you believe in and what you don't believe in, what counts as a reliable, valid source for you and what doesn't, and in the ways that you decide that you want to share the channels. Perhaps you're figuring out that maybe social media isn't the best spot for you, or maybe there's certain platforms that you just don't align with. You don't agree with perhaps how they operate. Maybe you're not liking the messaging that's coming across there. Maybe you don't feel like you are able to be heard and seen there. So you're switching over to different platforms. Maybe you've decided that you want more real world, lived experience interactions with other people. And those are going to be the way that you frame them and the response that you have to this Jupiter retrograde. I recommend that you take that time. I recommend that you move slowly. And I recommend that you be really gentle with yourself in this time. If you find that maybe there were some belief systems that you no longer align with, there's no reason to beat yourself up about it. To yourself, I'm growing and I'm learning. And as I grow and I learn, just like Geminis often do, I did my astrology class last night and I noted for Geminis, I said, people often see Geminis as two-faced. but it's more so that Geminis are always open to learning and growing and finding out new information. And when they do, they are very happy to change their stance based on that new bit of information. They also, because they want to gather and understand so much, can tend to have more information than what some of the others of us do. And they're a little bit better at being able to practice that discernment and being able to pick out, should I be trusting this person or should I not be trusting this person? These stories don't add up. Why do these stories not add up? They have that ability to just be able to pick through all the foolishness. And because of that, they operate in ways that sometimes don't make sense to a lot of us because we don't have the information that they have access to, or we're just not putting it together quite like they are at this moment in time. But they change based on the information that they have available to them. And when they're going through this research, or they're digging in to a topic, or they're just finding out as much as they can and learning about a subject, they're going to change their stances. And it's going to seem like they were this way one day and then the next day they were completely different. But they grew and they learned. And you should allow yourself some of that same kindness and some of that same compassion to say, I'm learning and I'm growing and I am changing, and that is okay. So be kind to yourself, be gentle to yourself, have some fun with it. Like, please go have some fun. Go play, go draw, go paint, go be out in nature, go do whatever lights you up and makes you feel like, okay, I'm learning in a different way. Jupiter is all about lived experience. That's their favorite way to actually learn information and then to allow themselves to process it. So go and talk to other people, be in different spaces, travel and see for yourself what is the reality of what's going on here, and not just what I'm being fed or being told by other people. Let me be my own truest sense of my primary source. Let that be my knowledge, let that be my awareness, and then let me go and find the others who I know I can depend upon, who I know they too value true, lived, honest experience. And because of that, they're only going to share with me honest feedback, honest truth about what's happening in the world around me. They're not going to be trying to frame things in order to push their specific agenda or to try to make something an issue that is not an issue, because they're trying to frame or create their own reality. I know that that's a really popular thing, but I think it's really important, as I've talked about, when you're working on your concept of self, perhaps in law of attraction or law of assumption, you are creating concepts of the other. And because you're creating these concepts of the other, sometimes your projections are kind of really throwing things off, and it just brings you a lot of stress and strife that doesn't need to be the case. So allow yourself a little bit more compassion and allow these concepts of the other to have a little bit more too. Go and actually talk to them. Go and actually see if that is what you desire as you find out more information about the life and the world it is that you would like to live in. And if they don't match up, that's not the person for you. And then give yourself that openness, that room to say, but there's other people available. There's other jobs available. There's other places to live available. The things that I'm finding out is giving me more information so I can make better, more informed choices for myself. And with that, I will take that knowledge in order to be able to reset what is my foundation and reset what is my overall lived experience, so that I start new patterns, so that I break cycles and create new ones that are perhaps propelling me into a better situation, or a situation that I would find to be more desirable. So that's my little bit of tidbits and information about Jupiter and Gemini. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you later, because we're going to talk a little bit more later this week about Pluto going direct and how this time period between the 9th and the 11th is a really powerful, masterful time for you to create large scale change in your life. I'll see y'all later. Have a great one. Bye.